In February 1959, 9 experienced hikers entered the Ural Mountains of the Soviet Union. None of them came back alive. What investigators found when they finally reached the camp defied every explanation they had. And 70 years later, it still does. The Dyatlov Pass incident. The group was led by Igor Dyatlov, a 23-year-old engineering student at the Ural Polytechnic Institute. He was experienced, methodical, and well-respected. His team of 8 were not novices. They had trained for this. They had done this before. Their goal was to reach Otorten, a mountain in the northern Urals. Grade 3 difficulty, the highest classification in Soviet hiking. It's challenging, but manageable for a group of their experience. They set off on January 23rd. By February 12th, Dyatlov had promised to send a telegram confirming their safe return. The telegram came. When the telegram didn't arrive, no one panicked immediately. Delays happened. Whether it happened. But when days passed with no word, a search party was dispatched. They found on February 26th would haunt them for the rest of their lives. The tent had been abandoned from the inside. It's cut open, not unzipped, not torn by wind, deliberately sliced apart from within, as if whatever was inside needed to get out immediately, as if there was no time to use the door. All 9 hikers had fled into the night, in winter, in the Ural Mountains, without boots, without coats, without any of the equipment that would have kept them alive. The temperature that night was minus 30 degrees Celsius. The first 2 bodies were found at the edge of a nearby forest, at the base of a large cedar tree. They were barefoot. Their hands were burned as if they had been trying to climb the tree, clawing at the bark with their bare hands in desperation. The branches above were broken up to 5 meters high. They had climbed. They had been looking at something. 3 more bodies were found between the cedar and the tent, seemingly trying to return to camp. They had died walking back toward it. Whatever had driven them out had either passed or they had simply run out of time. The remaining 4 were not found until May, buried under 4 meters of snow in a ravine. And these were different. 1 had a fractured skull. 2 had severe chest fractures, broken ribs, crushed sternums. Injuries that Soviet investigators described as comparable to a car crash. The kind of force that doesn't come from a fall. It's a kind that comes from something external. One of the women was missing her tongue. Not removed, not cut, missing, along with her eyes and parts of her lips. Soviet investigators closed the case in 1959, ruling the cause of death as an unknown compelling force, not an answer, a surrender. Over the decades, theories have multiplied. An avalanche, the most commonly cited explanation, but the tent showed no signs of snow impact. The bodies showed no avalanche injuries. Experienced mountaineers don't flee an avalanche barefoot in the wrong direction. A military weapons test. The Soviet government was active in the region. Some of the hikers' clothing later tested positive for elevated radiation levels. This was not made public for decades. Infrasound, low-frequency sound waves produced by wind moving over specific mountain terrain, known to cause panic, paranoia, and the sensation of being watched. Some researchers believe the pass generates infrasound at frequencies that can induce psychological breakdown. And they ran. The Mansi people, indigenous to the region, had a name for that mountain, Kholat Syakhl. It translates, in their language, to the dead mountain. They had warned people not to go there. In 2019, Russian prosecutors officially reopened the case. Their conclusion: an avalanche. Case closed again. But the questions didn't close with it. Why were the internal injuries so severe with no external bruising? Why did the radiation appear on clothing but not on the bodies? Why was the tongue missing cleanly with no signs of animal activity? Why did experienced, trained, rational hikers abandon everything they needed to survive and run into the dark? Igor Dyatlov's camera was recovered from the tent. The film was developed. Most frames showed the expedition as expected. Smiling faces, campsites, the mountain. The last frame was different, taken at night. Blurred, as if the camera moved during exposure, or as if whoever held it was shaking. It showed a light, or something like a light. Moving or stationary, it was impossible to tell, right against the dark tree line. No one has ever identified what it was. 9 people entered the dead mountain. The Soviet government called it an unknown compelling force and buried the files. Russia reopened the case 60 years later and closed it again within months. Whatever happened on that pass, in that dark, at -30 degrees, it was enough to make 9 experienced cake their way out of shelter and run barefoot into a killing cold. They knew what was outside would kill them. They ran anyway. Some doors, once opened, don't close. Some mountains keep their secrets. And some questions were never meant to be answered.